Hi there, and welcome to Scout the Game Week. Scout the Game Week is Fantasy Football Scouts' weekly podcast brought to you by the Scout Network. In each episode, we'll look back at the game week we have just played to assess what we can learn to help us in the next round of fixtures. I'm your host, Ryan from Football Chatbox. Let's scout the game week. This week, I'm joined by Karan for his first time on the show. Welcome to the show, Karan, and how is your season going so far?
Thanks, Ryan. Lovely to be here. How's the season going so far? It's a very interesting question. I was on the back of seven or actually eight back-to-back green arrows up until game week 22, slowly and steadily building towards that 100K benchmark. And then the reality has hit me where I've tried to go a bit adventurous, going against the steady, heady picks like Watkins, Saka, etc in preparation of the double game week with De Bruyne, Jota, Darwin. And yeah, the last 4 game weeks have humbled me, to be honest. So I'm around 550K right now as we speak. Still 1/3 of the season to go. So
Hmm.
looking forward to building upward towards the 100K again.
Fair enough. I still have plenty of time. If you're like anyone inside at this stage, inside even the top million, can easily get into the top 100K. I feel
Yeah,
like.
we've seen so many swings over the last 3 weeks. I've
Hmm.
personally been on the other side of the variance, but benching Foden for a 20 pointer, what could have been, had he been in my 11, and I started Darwin, I think, against Arsenal for
Yeah.
a 0 pointer. So yeah, it's those benching dilemmas as well that hit us hard at times.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's still a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah. Fair enough. I understand your bench pain. I didn't bench Foden, but I benched Garnacho for his 16 pointer. I had like that week that I benched Garnacho, I had like 25 points on my bench. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
here's
Geez,
what it is.
and I think that's where, because we've got so much money floating around, right? There's so many value picks that have enabled
Hmm.
themselves, and I think people's wild cards and the chip strategy is probably gonna again give us some big swings.
Indeed. Now you mentioned chip strategy. Let's actually go straight into it. So before we get into the matches this week, let's first start with the chip study, like you mentioned, because I feel like this week's transfers will depend on where you stand with regards to Game Week 29. So what's
Yep.
your initial plans for 29?
I think I've been building towards no free hit 29, and now that I'm partially into my decisions, and it was almost a commitment that I had to make a couple of weeks ago. And I'm actually thinking there's not much upside, probably, unless we see a lot of upsets in the upcoming round five. um, I see myself probably making about 9 to 10 players in that game week, and as long as you have all the key players such as Watkins, probably Tony, if there's an upset, maybe Saka, so Chelsea and Arsenal fixture, um, Son. So if you got Spurs covered, I think there's not much upside in that game week. And maybe, one of the better double game weeks in 34 or 37 is where I'm thinking about my free hit. Yeah, that's where my head is at. But like we said, there's a lot of ground to cover even in the next 4 game weeks. So the likes of Huang and, Neto being the talk of the town
Yeah,
at this time of the game week, I feel, yeah, probably keeping my powder dry for what's coming ahead.
fair enough. Me personally, so I made this mistake trying to focus so much on the blank game week that I kind of ignored the points that were going past me. When it came to like Richarlison, and like you mentioned just now, right? You were focused on the double game week, and you kind of like missed out on the points that go past you. So
Yes.
like I'm trying to make sure that I don't make that same mistake when it comes to blank game week 29.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. It is so tempting to go logical, right? I mean,
yeah,
logic would say, grab whatever's coming your way with both hands.
yeah.
But I'm thinking, you know, previously people were not thinking or even talking about a wildcard 26, 27, and
Mm,
now we are seeing people do content creating videos on, maybe pulling a wildcard trigger. I know Fran's already pulled up his wildcard for this game week. So there's a few interesting stories that have come up,
yeah.
and I'm sure we don't know what the narrative would look like come game week 30 or 31.
Yeah, fair enough. That's the thing, right? Because it could change, and like FA Cup upsets could happen in such a way that people go, "Oh." Suddenly, where no one is thinking of playing like a wildcard in 27, and majority will just switch to like, oh, let's play a wildcard in
Oh
27.
yeah, let the chaos begin.
I know. So things could change every week. Like we're looking at this game week, we were like hoping for the best, and now we've gone into this double game week, and we're like probably one of the worst double game weeks in my memory that I can think of in the last couple of years.
Well,
Um,
I think I saw a graphic somewhere around. I think Pras presented at Fantasy Football Scout. It was about expected goals for us for Liverpool and Man City across these two fixtures, and it was something like Man City should have scored 6 at least,
yeah,
and Liverpool were expected to score about 5. So I had 5 attackers in these two teams in the across those 4 fixtures, and I think we've got probably lucky with at least getting one triple captain goal from Haaland, because by the looks of it, halftime this morning, and I was like, well, it's going down the drain where KDB also was benched, and Jota injured, Darwin probably injured, not in the squad for tomorrow's prediction. I think whatever could go wrong went wrong in this double game week.
I know, right? Because it started off so well. Like the Liverpool game started off well. Jota
Oh,
assisting
that finish
Darwin, and
from Darwin,
yeah,
Darwin doing Darwin things.
yeah. So you're like, oh, Jota assisting Darwin. I've got both of them. Oh, it's superb. And then injury. You're like, what happened to these two? They're like, okay, Jota. As soon as the injury happened, I was like, yeah, go on. He's not going to play the next game as well. And then suddenly you get the Darwin not coming
Oh,
out and in
halftime
halftime.
substitution. Wow.
Yeah, and you're like, okay. And now you have the rumor. Now we're recording this before the Liverpool game, and we have the rumor that Darwin's not going to be available versus Luton. So I went in with two Liverpool attackers, and now the only player I'm going to have in that game is Matt Doherty in
Oh yeah.
defense, and I'm
I
not
think yeah,
expecting much.
that is such a. I mean, that kind of summarizes game week 25, right?
Yeah,
Double game week 25 for us.
and then like you said, right, five attackers. I had the triple city. I think you also have triple city attack
Yes,
of Foden,
with a
KDB,
triple captain.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Haaland triple captain. And I tweeted in the morning. I was like, to get less than 180 minutes combined from KDB, Jota, and Darwin was
Who
not
would
what
have
I had.
thought?
I know, right? Exactly. Uh, if this game didn't involve a lot of luck, I think this game summed up some like exactly. You can plan as much as you want. Eventually, FPL.
Well, from I think by the looks of it, Salah might have already outscored the other 5 attackers that we
Yes,
just spoke
yes,
about.
yes.
And if he starts tomorrow, it's
Yeah, I know.
it's a mockery of so much planning going into. And I think hits were flying around, right? People
Mm,
were taking -8s in setting up for this double game weekend. Yeah, it's on the other side of variance, I guess. It was the right decision to load up on these assets,
yeah,
but let's not be biased by outcome in a way.
yeah. That's the thing, because like you said, right? We it could have also been like the decisions we made were kind of correct because we saw Liverpool score the number of goals they did. Um, we saw Haaland get the number of chances he did against
Oh, the
Chelsea.
XG, I think
Yeah.
1.53 XG
Um,
against
so
Chelsea.
the decisions were correct. It's just that on that day, it just didn't happen. It is what it is. We just move on further now and
Yep,
like try
yep.
and focus for the upcoming weeks.
And
Um,
also, I think it's important that I know it's a very cliched statement where we say good players from good teams,
mm,
even in single game weeks. I've seen Solanke play well this week.
yes.
Watkins did damage. Saka scored again a haul. So there's a lot of single game week players that, if they are in form or if they've been consistently performing, let's not overlook those.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. So we'll talk about all of this because those are some key players as well. But yeah, so for your personal point of view at the moment, chip strategy, you feel like free hit, most likely not free hit in 29.
No, I'll
Yeah,
probably, and again, the transfers which we'll talk about for
yeah.
this game week, again, are in anticipation of me not free hitting in 29,
Okay,
and maybe wildcarding 30 or 31, depending on how things are at that time.
okay, fair enough. And me at the moment, I'm kind of open to both, either free hitting or not free hitting. If the chips fall my way, then okay, I'll not free hit. Then that will come with regards to like Wolves and Arsenal as well. And
And I
then
think
wildcard
just
30,
just on
31.
that free hit, yeah,
Yeah.
just on that free hit, I think the reason why I'm holding my free hit for 34 or 37 is because I've already used my bench boost. So again,
Ah,
if
okay.
people have their bench boost in their back pocket,
Yes.
that would definitely make sense to use in a double game week.
Yep.
But I'm thinking maybe a free hit with the right 11, because a lot can change, right? KDB got
Yeah.
benched this week. So closer to the deadline, we would probably know who are the most likely predicted 11.
Yes.
And my aim would then be to get the right 11 instead of a bench with a bench boost.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've got the free hit and the bench boost left, so I'm like because of that, I'm happy to play the bench boost in either of the doubles, whichever is like decent.
Yep.
That's where my current situation is. Okay. Anyways, let's get in straight into the fixtures. Let's start with Manchester City. Probably one of the worst results we could have expected from having a triple City, especially triple City attack. And add to that, if you triple captain Haaland, probably not the best result that we wanted. I think the last worst triple captain decision that I made was probably Harry Kane when he had the double under Jose Mourinho, I think. And then
Was
this,
he, did he get injured that?
yeah, the second
Oh,
game, he
yes.
got injured. Yes, I was like, yep, this is basically the same thing almost. Um,
Well, people would remember the Dennis
yeah.
disaster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't talk
Um,
about it. I
I,
captained it.
I, I, I did not, but
Yeah.
I was actually captain. I did use my triple captain. I
No,
think
I
I
didn't.
captained Joshua King, so I
Okay.
luckily got a 1 pointer instead of a minus 1 pointer. Um, and for me, probably the worst decision in my 5 years of playing FPL was Mane. He got
The
injured in the
versus
first game,
Salah. Yes.
and Salah banged, and I think he scored a 27
Yeah.
pointer in that
Yeah.
game week.
Yeah. I remember that as well. But yeah, that's like the memories down FPL
Yep.
history. But now KDB also didn't play the second game. And Pep said it was because he had niggles in his hamstring area and didn't want to risk it. So we'll see what that means going ahead into the game against Bournemouth. Now going into the next few weeks, where do you stand with the City players and what's your game plan with them? Now they have the Derby and Liverpool as well coming in
Yep.
28, 27 and 28.
See, I feel like you mentioned, KDB was rested because he felt something. So maybe the game against Bournemouth is something to keep an eye on. But I've always seen Kevin De Bruyne being big match Kev, like
Mm,
we know him. He loves to perform at the big stage, and the different lately the difference that he has made to the squad. I mean, in the Everton game, I remember up until the 70th minute, Man City was nowhere to be seen in terms of attacking, and he came on, and then Haaland scored a brace, and we know the difference that he makes. So I would be keen to watch him closely up until the Man United start. If he's predicted to start there, I think he could bang.
mm,
And again, with Liverpool and with Arsenal around the corner, again, game week 29 is probably something to navigate. But keeping that aside, I feel those three are Kevin De Bruyne games. Um, and if his injury continues, I think an easy way out would be Son in game
yep,
week 27
yep,
against Crystal Palace, and then he also plays in game week 29. So De Bruyne is a wait and watch for me. I'm not
yep.
getting rid at this point.
Okay, fair enough. Me personally as well, the idea was to play him for gaming 27. Sorry, for 26 and probably also 27 to be honest, because I know how City do against United, and at the moment, even though United are on a win streak, we are very transitional, so a lot of chances flying the other way as well for opponents. Um, so I was planning on keeping KDB for those two, and then
Hmm.
in 28, that would depend on like what happens in like what the fixtures are looking like in 29. So I haven't decided whether I want to keep KD before against Liverpool or not just yet. And it depends. Like at that moment, I might either play the free hit or not play the free hit. If I'm not playing the free hit, KDB probably moves out
Yep.
because I've got Foden as well, and I'm happy to kind of keep Foden. Either KDB or Foden. One of them will probably move out. Not both, but probably one of them. Um,
Yeah, we might see a lot of people getting Haaland out in terms of bringing
Yes,
Solanke
I've
in.
I've I've thought about it. So I have like Watkins, Haaland, and Darwin. So Darwin will move out for Solanke is my
Yeah,
plan. But I know
yeah,
some people
I think
have,
that's the template forward line that most would like to
yeah,
hold
but
for the right reasons.
some have Tony as well. So I don't
Like
know.
me,
Yes,
like
exactly.
me. So I've actually, yeah, we'll talk about transfers,
Yeah.
and my front line is gonna look stacked, and then it'll be a decision who goes out for Solanke in 28.
Yes, so that's the thing. So that's why I'm like, maybe I can keep Haaland as a differential. I don't know. We'll see. But he doesn't have the fixture in 29. But I don't mind transferring him out in 29 for Tony if I wanted to. That's a different story.
Yeah,
Um,
I think no free hit 29 is gonna see so much team value go down because people are gonna
yes.
try, like me. I'm thinking of transferring Haaland out potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and bringing everyone back in because we'd want Salah, we'd want Son, we'd want
Mm,
Watkins, Saka. Probably Trent if he's back by then. You never know
yeah.
in the title race between the three teams. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting narratives.
Yep, fair enough. So yeah, City players. Now, if there was news to come that KDB was benched against Bournemouth, would you sell?
I'd still hold.
Still hold.
I'm sure we've all got a lot of fires to put out this week in terms of the Liverpool assets. The blanking
Hmm.
Chelsea, Spurs, Porro's injury. You never know how long he's out for. So I'm sure the the players who have a fixture, maybe we just keep them and expect them for a 1 or 2 pointer or an attacking return if we can.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's move to Wolves. Probably the most popular team this week that everyone is looking at after they beat Spurs this week. And it's not because they beat Spurs, but most of because of how their next opponents, Sheffield United, continue to get
Oh,
beat big.
yep.
Now, Neto and Huang seem to be the talking points, but where do you stand with Wolves? And are you looking to get one of these players?
I think Wolves this season are looking quite galvanized. I mean, the previous seasons we've seen them not to be as attacking, but this year we see that they have the capability to score goals. And even though Cunha is injured and Cunha was really the player who was scoring a lot of goals,
Hmm.
we've seen what Huang has done in the beginning of the season, and Neto is probably at the highest assists still, and he missed like half of the season through injury. So yes, I mean there's all the right reasons for them, for people or for managers to be bringing them in. I see goals for Wolves over the next three fixtures, and of the two, I feel Huang has the better XG. Neto is more involved. He looks like lightning on the pitch.
Yes.
That counter attack which he made a move by himself against Spurs, you can see that Neto is involved in everything. But I see Huang being the better pick. In terms of me going there or not, again, because I'm thinking of not free hitting in 29, so I'm kind of resisting the
Yeah,
temptation.
fair enough.
But again, could go horribly wrong for me. And then game week 27, I think maybe I feel the pressure to press my wild card. But for now, it's wait and watch for me.
Yep, fair enough. For me, like again, similar to you, between Neta and Huang, I'm leaning more towards Huang also because he has pens, potentially has pens. There's
Yeah,
talk
a lot
about
of people,
Sarabia as well, but
Sarabia, yes.
yeah, but then Sarabia tends to get subbed a bit more earlier. And I think, I don't know, the last time Wolves took a pen, I think when Huang was playing, I don't know if he's the one who took it.
I think from the last one, because Huang was away for the Asia Cup,
Yeah,
I think Cunha and Sarabia were the two penalty
yes. And
takers,
then
of which
Sarabia took
Sarabia
one.
was subbed off. I think Sarabia
Oh,
was subbed off, so Cunha took it. If I'm
okay.
not wrong, if I'm
Okay.
not wrong, or I could be wrong, but that's where the narrative is. When Sarabia has been on the pitch, he's
Yeah,
probably, he looks like his stats are quite well in terms of he's got 100%
yeah.
conversion rate. So would be interesting to see. It's one of those situations where Madison, Son, and Richarlison are on the pitch.
Yes.
You don't know who's going to take the penalty,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. That's the thing. So probably leaning more towards Fang. The other reason I was thinking that now Neto is also a really good option because he will get involved. And this week against Sheffield United specifically, they tend to be more weaker down his flank. In terms of if you look at like the chances conceded.
Yep.
However, the Wolves attack. They tend to like rotate around. So Fang could also be on that side as well.
And again, I think the fixture next week is also a
Yes,
good one against Newcastle because Newcastle have got Dan Burn on that flank.
yes, that's
So
the thing.
Neto could run riot.
Yeah, so Neto has that options, but I think the Newcastle one and I think the other one is Fulham or Brentford. In
I think
game,
they've got Fulham.
let me have a look. In game week 28, they have Fulham. Yes, so
Yep.
both Fulham and Newcastle are more weaker down the middle compared to the wing,
Right.
which kind of helps Fang if he's going to play that striker role.
Yeah,
Um,
and Wang has a brace potential in one of
Yes,
those.
yes. That's why I'm leaning out of the two. I'm leaning more towards Fang just because of that reason. But I think
But
both are
even in the Sheffield United fixture, I
yeah
could see I'm seeing a 4-0 or a 4-1 kind of a
possible,
game for them.
possible. So I won't be surprised. End of the day, it's like it's a coin flip, right? Both have so 50-50 decision. You just pick and hope that you kind of pick the correct one.
Yep.
Because both are capable of returning
It's a
some.
it remembers reminds me of game week 1, the Gabriel versus Saliba
Yes,
kind of a
exactly.
conversation.
Exactly. So this is somewhat similar to that, but the whole potential is there for both, I guess. In this
Yeah,
now,
you just pick one and hope for the best in that
yeah,
situation.
exactly. Any Wolves defenders or just not interested?
I've seen a lot of people bring in Ryan At-Nouri
Yeah,
for his attacking potential, and we've seen Sheffield United aren't that great in attacking. although they've given a tough fight to the smaller teams.
Yeah.
But Wolves are a middling defense, I think. So I wouldn't mind going there. Again, depends on the chip strategy.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, for me this week specifically, I would try and target like attackers more than defense. I don't know if the transfer this week for a defender is as worth it, but depends on how many free transfers you have and all of that as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to Arsenal. Playing really well in the last two game weeks. Saka and Odegaard are both in form, and the defense is still great compared to when most teams are currently not keeping any clean sheets. What do you think about Arsenal players as options going forward, especially as they are about to face a defensively poor Newcastle, and then they have Sheffield United after that as well for them?
I feel a triple up is a must now, regardless of the chip strategy. Even if one is required to bench three blankers in
Hmm,
29, or hope that Chelsea has an upset
against
in
Leeds.
the cup,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we see triple Arsenal plus Palmer for a lot of people, and happy days for game week 29. I, Arsenal, Saka definitely a must. I
Hmm,
think again we'll talk about my team and probably a captaincy option for me this week.
yeah.
um, Gabriel, we are seeing Gabriel and Saliba, have fun with those headers and trying to score goals between them. So defensive double up is where a lot of people are going. But like you said, Odegaard, the goal that he scored was again showing that signs of that old Odegaard from last
Hmm,
season who was very confident. So could be a big differential pick.
yeah. That's true. Now that is so I've got Saka already. So I'm looking for like trying to get another player in Arsenal because a lot of people have, like you mentioned, the defensive double up. Um, now I'm looking at Odegaard as a possible Jota replacement, either between him or Huang for me. Now I'm slightly leaning towards Odegaard just because of that potential cup upset for Chelsea. I'm just hoping there is a
If you've
cup
got the
upset.
money,
Yeah,
I don't see a reason why you wouldn't go there.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I probably might go there because the
Because not many would go there.
yes, exactly. And like the chances of the probabilities at least for that fixture to happen compared to the Wolves fixture to happen is slightly more better because Wolves we kind of have to hope that Brighton beat them and also that Leicester, not Leicester, yeah, Leicester I think beat Bournemouth if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken. So there's
yes,
two things that kind of has to happen in that game compared to whereas the Arsenal game we just have to hope that Chelsea are after
and
a
and
cup
Leeds
hangover.
and Leeds could potentially,
Yeah, exactly.
like, pull an upset.
Yeah, because
We,
Leeds are
we,
second in the championship
they're
right
a
now.
known entity. Yes,
Yeah,
they're a known entity for us.
so they should that. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but that's kind of where I'm like leaning towards at the moment to Odegaard because again, end of the day, it's like we mentioned it earlier, right? Get good players from good teams, and
And
Odegaard
I
fits the bill.
think I think Odegaard again, Sheffield United next game week, right? So Wolves have Sheffield this week.
Hmm.
Arsenal have them next week.
But Arsenal have them
So
at home as well, so that's another plus.
yep. And I I'm already seeing maybe a goal for Newcastle this week. So I
Yes.
can understand the motivation behind going double Arsenal attack again instead of double Arsenal defense this week.
That's the thing. So that's kind of because I do think Newcastle will score in this week.
I think they would.
Yeah.
I think they would.
So like when a lot of people will be fielding double Arsenal defense this week because they kind of have to,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they'll be
It's about pulling 11 on the field,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So I feel like this is like a nice differential to have. Is what I'm thinking. But anyways, I still haven't finalized it, but I'm most likely leaning towards that move.
Yeah, if you can control your FOMO instinct, I
Yeah.
think swaying a Huang for an Odegaard isn't a bad option.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see how that goes, but probably leaning towards that. We'll see. Come closer to the deadline, and also obviously Champions League fixture for Arsenal, tonight or tomorrow, depending on we're recording this
Oh yeah,
before.
there's the midweek Arsenal Champions League fixture. I
Yes,
totally forgot about
yeah.
that.
So
So
we kind of have to wait and see what happens in that, just in case anything goes wrong there. But yeah,
yep,
so that's Arsenal. If here's a quick question: if you don't have Saka, probably a priority move, right? This week?
it
Oh no, I lost you. Uh, oh, you're back. Are you
oh,
back?
sorry, did I
Yes.
drop out there?
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, no, yeah. So I was saying I actually corrected my mistake. I sold Saka two
Yeah.
weeks ago, where he scored 9 points and 15 points, and I brought him back in straight even if I had to take a hit last week, which I did against Burnley, I I just couldn't stand being without Saka and Watkins. So Saka is very essential, I believe.
Yeah, fair enough. And he got you 15 points as well as soon as you bought him in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so totally worth it. All right, let's go to Liverpool, your team. Now, no game this week, and we're recording this again, like we mentioned, before the second game of the double. But what's more important is that now Jota is out, probably out for a while, which kind of makes him a high sell, priority sell. Darwin apparently out, or at least apparently not supposed to be featuring against Luton.
Looks
I
like he's
don't
gonna
know.
be out. Yeah, that's what the rumors or the predicted lineups are saying,
Yeah,
that yeah, he's probably out for tomorrow's fixture.
yeah. So I don't know whether that's like fully out or not yet, but that's kind of one to wait and see. And then
Yeah,
there's
and I think Klopp said it's gonna be a day by day thing.
yes, that's the thing
So
for him,
it
and
doesn't look a long
also
term injury for Salah as
for
well.
Salah as well, because Salah, there was rumors that Salah distinct his
Yeah,
injury, so that's something else to kind of as well like keep an eye out for. But it's so funny because Salah came on and scored more than Jota, Darwin, and KDB, like you mentioned.
and even
Um,
Haaland. I think
yeah.
even Haaland.
So like we sell this guy, I'm like, oh, he's not going to start the first game. You get the leak also that he's not going to start the first game. You're like, okay, we don't bother going for there. And then he comes and just does what
It
he
was just
does.
FPL gods doing a
I
joke
know.
on us.
Yeah, exactly. Salah just proving why he's FPL royalty. He's the top, the pinnacle of
Oh,
FPL.
100%.
Now, if you're looking to sell these players, we've already mentioned a few of like the players that we mentioned. Where would you look to go? Would you look at one of these players, or are there anyone else that you're looking at?
I think in terms of priority of selling, Jota becomes a priority
Mm.
easy sell because you've got the likes of Odegaard, you mentioned Wang, and if you're planning for swaying a free at 29, then maybe West Ham,
Yeah.
Aston Villa, again, not good teams at this point. Maybe Aston Villa is still okay. So those are the kind of players you could look at. Darwin, maybe unless you want to free up money by going from a expensive midfielder like Jota to a cheaper midfielder and upgrading Darwin to a Watkins, maybe
Mm.
that would make sense. Um, Apparently people are bringing in Salah. I don't know why. He doesn't even have a fixture.
Doesn't
130,000 transfers in.
kind of.
Um, Unless there's a wild card being pulled, right? And you're holding Salah on the bench.
Even then, it doesn't make as much sense. But anyways,
Yeah, so I think Liverpool assets are a sell at the moment. Um, Also because there's so many injuries in the camp, right? There's no Trent, there's no Allison.
mm.
So makes the defense kind of a no-go for now. Um, Even though the numbers have been decent for Liverpool, they've kept a couple of clean sheets
Yep.
over the last four fixtures. Van Dijk was okay for the double, maybe, but I don't see myself having Liverpool assets up until I wildcard again in 30,
Yeah, fair
31.
enough. Same. Because for me, the priority right now is to sell Jota. Like I feel like there's more options in midfield, more high priority needs as well in midfield for this week specifically. Darwin, I'm happy to keep, and if I need to sell, I'll sell in 27. If he's fit by 27 as well, I don't mind starting him against Forest in 27 as well, if he's fit, as an option. But Jota is probably my high sell. The thing with Darwin is, like, if you think of selling this week, the only one, let's say that you, like you mentioned, right, Watkins is probably the only forward that I would want who has a fixture this
Yep,
week that is good and also has that 29 fixture if you wanted. Unless you're
yep.
definitely free hitting in 29, then it's a different story. Because if you're definitely free hitting in 29, the only other forward that I can think of that is attractive this week is probably Hoyland against
Oh,
Fulham.
Man United have been solid going forward. I
Yeah.
think there's so many goals lately, which I think that Hoyland and Garnacho are going quite under the radar still.
Yes.
Even though with Man United, we know how global fan following is for the team, and FPL decisions are primarily made on the teams that you like. Um, so I feel there still is so much upside in a Hoyland pick.
Yeah. That's the only forward I would go for. That is, but the only problem like that, I think the one problem is that they have the potential blank in 29. Now, if a cup upset happens
They're,
against
they're
Forest,
playing Forest, yeah.
yes, yeah. If that upset happens against Forest, and
I
then
can
they
see
get
everyone flocking. I can see
yeah
everyone flocking
a
towards
Sheffield
them.
in 29,
Yes.
yes, so that makes
Maybe Bruno Fernandes becomes a pick again.
he probably becomes a captaincy option as well. There's a
Yeah, because
potential.
you've got so much money then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. So there's a lot of things to kind of decide on that. But that if you're not playing the free hit if you're definitely playing the free hit at the moment, I think that's the only other forward I probably look at. But then overall, again, I feel like the midfield spot is more prime real estate,
Oh, definitely.
where we
Yeah,
want
with,
to go.
with the likes of picks that we've discussed already.
Yeah.
Only other forward that comes to mind, and maybe I'd want to put on the table, is Tony. I got him in
West
on
Ham.
a for the double game week in anticipation of the West Ham match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Tony could probably have a brace or a goal at least.
Yep.
He's shown some good form in the recent past. So yeah, Tony, Hoyland, again the staple bread and butter
Yep.
Watkins.
And that's
So
basically it.
would you bring in Solanke this week?
No, not against City. I was thinking about that. As like bringing him a week earlier because if you're going to bring him in 27 against Burnley, because Burnley is a good
Yeah,
fixture.
Burnley and double
Yeah,
game week for
yeah.
sure.
But I was like, because it's the more logical move to go and get Solanke in because you kind of have to get him in. So you use that
Yes.
transfer of getting him in now, and then wait till the cup results happen to see what the cup's fixtures are, and then you can use that other transfer that you are saving for Solanke on maybe a player that you want for like 29, so that you don't have to play the free hit. That's probably the logical play to do.
Yep.
But the upside play is to go for like an Arsenal or a Wolves player this week
Yeah,
and try and
I
cash
think
in.
majority would want to cash in, and I
Yeah.
think a few content creators, even from the Australian community, are of the opinion that we focus on what's in front of us
Mm,
instead of trying to plan ahead. And we've seen a disaster in Double Game Week 25 where we've planned so ahead, getting rid of good players. So I got rid of Saka,
yeah.
Watkins, and got burnt. So
That's the thing. So yeah, probably that's where I'm leaning towards. Most likely cashing in. So we'll see how it go.
yep,
Now you mentioned Aston Villa and West Ham. So let's talk about them. Both teams have a game in 29 against each other, but both also have some decent fixtures between now and game week 29. Villa have the better form at the moment compared to West Ham, who are in really bad form and probably one of the worst defenses
they're in
alongside
tatters under
Newcastle. Yeah,
David Moyes. Yeah.
yeah. So who would you look to get from Villa, and would you look to get anyone from West Ham? Or would you avoid West Ham?
Spoiler alert for my transfers this week. I needed cash to bring. Sorry, I didn't need cash. There's no pun here.
Yeah,
I needed the money to bring in Watkins.
yeah.
Um, and the only route was Darwin to Watkins. So I
Mm-hmm.
needed that 1.2 or whatever million that was the
Extra.
difference,
Yeah.
and I had zero in the bank. So I downgraded Jota to a Leon Bailey. So I've taken a -4, bringing in two Villa assets. Again, Villa potentially still have something to play for in the top six kind of a situation
Yes. Yes. I
where
mean, top
they've got
four
Europe to
race.
play for,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. So they've got Europe to play for, and Watkins is definitely showing the form. Um, then it was about either Douglas Lewis or Bailey, and it's almost in that situation where you pick a more defensive minded or a not so attacking midfielder but has penalties, or someone who can go cut inside from the wing and score.
Mm.
So I went Bailey. They're more or less the same price, I think.
Mm.
um, and the only other player I was considering, because I had 6.9 million for that midfielder spot,
Yeah.
was Kudus.
Yes.
But
West
then
Ham.
looking at West Ham's current shape and form, I just swayed away. I said no,
Yeah.
because as much as Kudus has shown form in the past, they are just in a total disarray right now. West Ham, I think there's pressure on David Moyes. They might or fans are saying they might sack him.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't want to go
Yeah.
there.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think from Villa, like you mentioned, the midfield options: Leon Bay or Douglas Lewis. Douglas Lewis probably has the more nailed minutes as well, but Leon Bay is that
Yes.
potential explosive pick.
Well, yeah, my picks for the last 4 or 5 game weeks have been chasing the holds,
Yeah.
even though I've got the variance has totally gotten the bad of me, but I still want to continue chasing. So it's
Okay.
that
Fair
kind of a
enough.
pick.
Yep. And then like you mentioned, right, Kudus is probably the only West Ham player I would look at. But even like again, form has been terrible. So until the form improves, I don't even want to touch West Ham at this point.
Yeah, the fixtures are there, but playing Villa, I think is it
Villa
at
in
Villa Park?
29. That's a good question. Let me have a look. It is no, it's at West Ham. Arnold
Oh,
Stadium.
okay. Yeah, but there's no form, there's no numbers, there's no
Yeah,
stats to go on. So even eye test, it's a
it's not
total
there. Oh,
out of shape.
eye test is the worst thing to look at West Ham. I saw the eye test and I sold Bowen, and then Bowen continued to score. So ITS is
Yeah,
probably not a
Bowen is
good
one
idea.
of those picks, right? If he goes on a streak,
Yeah.
and he's not someone that would give you a 15 pointer out of nowhere. He'll probably give you 8, 7, 6
Yes.
kind of
That's the
points.
thing.
But no, I don't think I'm considering anyone from West Ham at the moment.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. Let's end it with captaincy. Um, who are your captain options for this week?
Currently, my bus team, I've got Saka as my
Yep.
captain.
Hmm.
Again, because Saka against Dan Burn, see I can see a couple of returns there. Um, Haaland is the more sensible pick, I think. People would still
Mm. Even though the
and
performance has been, yeah.
yes, and but the ownership, again that fear of missing out or going against the EO, people would probably go Haaland.
Mm.
Watkins,
Mm.
and Watkins is a stable pick because he's on recent form. He's
Yeah.
showing good output. People could potentially go Wang.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a Maverick pick.
Fair enough.
But for me, it's Saka
Yeah.
currently, and with
Okay.
vice captain on Haaland.
Okay. For me, it's the other way around at the moment. I've got the armband. Bus captain is on Haaland, and vice captaincy is on Saka. Um, will I change that? I don't know. Probably not. I still believe Haaland is capable of getting something against Bournemouth. Um,
Haaland
Maverick,
looks hungry.
yeah,
Haaland looks hungry.
just that the shooting boots
He's
haven't been
due,
on.
and he's due. I think I think the game before where he didn't score, the
Yes,
the the scenes against the camera, where he was
he shoved the camera and
kind
all.
of
Yep,
upset. Yeah,
yeah,
he was kind of upset. So, and I think Pep also mentioned in some embargo quotes lately that you don't have to tell him what to do,
yeah,
and him being a goal scorer, he would get goals.
yeah. So I'm thinking I probably will keep it on Haaland, and Vice on Saka. Maverick pick, like you said, Wang. If anyone wants to go against Sheffield, I put Hoyland up there as well against Fulham. To be honest, Watkins. The interesting thing is now Villa are good at home. But for some reason, for I need to check Forest's like previous fixtures, but their defensive numbers in the last 6 game weeks, Forest are the second best defensive team at the moment.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's completely out of the blue.
I know it kind of shocked me as well, but I don't know. But they faced some decent competition as well in the last couple game weeks, to be honest. But yeah, they're right up there. So I don't know what has changed system wise. They're not really keeping clean sheets,
And
but
they're scoring goals.
yeah, that's the thing. So something to kind of monitor. But for me, yeah, either Haaland, Saka, and then Mavericks would be Huang or Hoyland for me personally.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, all four options quite solid. I think depends on the risky gameplay versus the
mhm.
consolidating gameplay.
Yep, indeed. Cool. So that's basically it. So thank you for your time today. Do you have anything to plug?
Well, I'm enjoying being a part of the Australian FPL community, and I'm on Twitter, Karan underscore FPL, or is it FPL underscore Karan? I always mix up my handle with my n-
With your
namesake,
name. It's
the
Karan
other
underscore
Karan.
FPL. Don't worry.
There you go.
It's on the
So
video.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, do follow, and I'll give you a follow back, and let's continue enjoying the game together.
Awesome. And you can also find me, Football Chatbox, on YouTube where I do weekly videos and deadline streams. So that's it for this week's Scout the Game Week. I'll be back after Game Week 26 and looking ahead to Game Week 27. Green Aerosol.
Thanks, Ryan.